History will be made tonight. In its 20th season, in 15 years of racing, welcome back to the Highline Racing League. We've gone past 10, we've gone past 15, and after the better part of 3 years, we've gone 5 further. 20th season of racing, and we're back to where it always begins, the World Center of Racing. Welcome back to the ASC Services and Supply Premier Series from the Daytona International Speedway. This is the ASC Daytona 250. 10 minutes of qualifying are available for our 35 drivers tonight, many of which veterans, some of which with victories and championships. Well, with that being said, as they all come together again, we'll see if it's a newcomer who beats them all. That is, of course, to be determined over 100 racing laps tonight. Welcome back to FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's coverage. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. So, as we take a look downstairs, we've got ourselves a stacked house, and it's going to go not only with your defending champion and team champions coming back, and we'll talk about them, but also with some guys who are former champions that we haven't seen all too much of. Currently, Alan Kunman finds himself on the top of the board, provisional pole by 13 1/1000ths. The season 15 champion making the switch to Toyota full-time, and looks like right now he is up on top over Sean Billman. And just behind him, a returning Curtis Granger in the 77. Curtis is on the way right now for what will be his second and final lap. Across the line for Curtis, a 48 1/96. No improvement that time by. Toby Wedgwood is going to be P4, and you'll see the number 52 car making his way in just outside of the top 5. Wedgwood making his way around. He gets bumped down to 6th. Matthew Rodriguez goes by. Matthew puts down a quick time, 48.14. Scott Wheeler now sits in 11th. The season 13 and 14 champ in the middle of the pack as he gets back for some extra warm-up laps here. 6 minutes left on the clock as Colton Gardner shoots up to P1. Colton, fastest speed, 185 miles an hour, .753. That is the top time, and it looks like it'll stand over Dawson Buchanan. Dawson goes P2 on his second lap. Lucas Lodato, the defending champion, now on the way for his second of 2 laps here. As we mentioned, Lodato coming back, and last season he ran in the number 7. This time around, he is in the number 1. He's going to be donning the number last run by Chad Winstead when he came through with his championship. And it looks like now it's going to be Lodato with the honor of taking that championship number and looking to defend it. The last defending champion victory we saw was season 14 for Scott Wheeler. He won in 13, did it again in 14. Lodato is poised to fight for it, but he'll be fighting from the back. 29th place at best as Caleb Morrissey, the Jonestown Jet, goes by for the 4 Horsemen. Swamp Motorsport with multiple drivers tonight. Of course, they'll have their champion driver in Lucas Lodato, but additionally, they'll have the number 64 of DJ Stagner going through. DJ now is on to his second lap, and he is 31st as it stands. Caleb Morrissey across the line goes to 25th, so some minor improvements here. DJ Stagner, whether or not he's going to go all the way to the top, that is still the question. Coming down to the speed of 189 miles an hour into turn 3, he's looking good to make major gains. Out of 4 this time by. DJ looked poised to come to victory lane last season at Daytona, but that was the race that began the dominant stretch for Lodato as the team came to victory. DJ with a strong run. That lap is good for 5th. Won't be enough to take the top spot, but a huge gain as mentioned. 35 drivers have taken qualifying laps, which means everyone in the field, including your new pole sitter, Sebastian Miller in the number 83, goes to P1. The Swamp will collect the pole position provisionally. Top average speed of 185.8 miles an hour and 15 1/1000ths quicker than the next best. 4 minutes left on the clock. And time running out here for drivers to take any extra laps, but everyone has a time. And so it appears like besides Miller, you have Ryan Potter. Potter bows down. Miller is the only driver on the racing circuit. Rookie Tom Bourne, he's going to pit himself in. Sebastian Miller taking that final lap, and it appears that it will be official. Miller grabs the provisional pole position with a quick time of 48.067 seconds. It is Miller with the first pole position of the season, and qualifying has concluded. Wrap it up. 35 drivers have taken times, and now we are moments away from advancing to the main show. 100 laps, 250 miles. It's Daytona, and it's unlike any other circuit. Grandstands are due to fill up. This 2.5-mile track has excited us season after season. It's one of our mainstays for opening up the campaign. Sometimes we go over to the Auto Club Speedway or another oval, but for the last few, and for the most part, we have decided Daytona is the place to go. Last season, it definitely gave us an exciting race. Lucas Lodato ended up winning his first of several on the season, and that was the winning momentum, not only for himself, but for the team. And I think that's going to be a big goal for every driver. Swamp Motorsports dominated, seeing DJ Stagner come to victory lane, seeing Connor Holden stay up there high in the points. Lodato won the championship, and Seb Miller grabbed his first ever race win. So with that said, there's a lot on the table for every other team, and qualifying is officially concluded from Daytona. It's about time we go racing. Sebastian Miller, for the first time this season, the first of any driver, grabs the pole position. His quick time seats him at the top of the charts from Daytona. The sun continues to set. Your starting grid is assembled. Let's get to know the field from top to bottom as they get lined up to go racing. Inside of row number 1, a familiar face. So let's begin with where, of course, the field begins. That pole position and that front row. You've got inside of row number 1, of course, Sebastian Miller in the number 83. For Miller, this is his first pole of the season, and in fact, his best qualifying performance of the year. The one-time race winner for the Milwaukee Mile last season is looking to go out there and maybe find himself a second. His best career finish at Daytona in this league is a second place run. He starts one higher today alongside Colton Gardner in the number 40. Joey Chapman makes his return in a 98, starting in third, and you'll have Dawson Buchanan fourth. Tyler Hampton, whose season-ending victory streak ended just a few months ago, maybe he can start it off a little bit better. He chases his first championship, sitting in fifth. DJ Stagner, a championship contender on Monday nights on FTN, starts in P6. You'll have seventh in Corey Blevins, eighth, second in points last season, the all-time winningest man, Scott Zellner. And ninth goes Matt Muir. Dylan Wedgwood will then be P10 in qualifying tonight. 11th place will be the number 9 of Jimmy McKee. Alan Kunman goes 12th. Dalton Beer goes 13th. Justin Baxter on debut, 14th. P15 is defending champ Lucas Lodato with the number 13 car of Nicholas Blackerby in 16th. Sean Billman, Curtis Granger, Ryan Potter, Matthew Rodriguez, and rookie Tom Bourne are right up there for the taking. Rodriguez is alongside Potter for 20th. 21st place is Bourne. Jim Fott is then in 22nd. 23rd is Ty Smith. You'll then have 24th and Toby Wedgwood. 25th is Terry Brooks. 26th, Dylan Poteet, with Josh Chrisman, Roberto Ramirez, Caleb Morrissey, and Chad Winstead wrapping up the top 30. Finally, you'll have Kenny Brooks, Scott Wheeler, Adam Bozzi, Jacob Hamm, and Jackson Hartman, formerly the second winningest driver ever, sitting at 8 wins in his career. He'll ride shotgun 35th and last. Your starting grid is assembled. The field is ready to roll. And for the second season consecutively, the Gen 6 stock cars are the flavor of the season, and we'll be using the old Chevrolet Camaro, Toyota Camry, and Ford Mustang combination. We're looking to, of course, see great success from each and every one of these drivers. Track conditions tonight, ambient temperature of 82 degrees with a track temp just slightly higher at 84. It's going to be relatively mild humidity at about 54% for the time being. Winds are southbound and very mild as well, mostly cloudy skies. The biggest change conditions-wise will be, of course, the sun is setting. We will have a day-to-night race, and by the time things are said and done, it's going to be stadium lighting, bringing the field to the checkered flag from Daytona. But to bring the field to green will be the number 83 of Sebastian Miller, and just a row behind him, diagonal, you'll see DJ Stagner looking, and he's looking to get the fun started for Swamp Motorsport. They come in as a team, the defending team champion, with their driver, Lucas Lodato, starting way back. Instead, it will be the number 83 of Sebastian Miller, bringing the field up to speed. This is the 20th season of the Highline Racing League. It begins here and now. From Daytona, Miller brings them back to speed. Welcome to Season 20. Leading is Sebastian Miller with Joey Chapman right behind him. Tyler Hampton runs 2-3, and they all go double file from there. Looks like Miller is going to have himself the advantage. Of course, that's qualifying. When you have that edge up in front, at least for the time being, you don't want to worry yourself about too aggressive style of racing. We have 100 laps on the table, so early on, drivers getting themselves packed up for what is going to be a long night, and so indeed, it begins. Talking about tires tonight, 3 extra sets are available for the entire field. We do not have a cap on fuel, so overall, we should be seeing a very lenient strategy when it comes to how drivers put it all together. DJ Stagner getting to the inside of Colton Gardner. Gardner forced 3 wide right now, and it looks like not going well for him. Of course, no faster pairs in the Highline Racing League, which means that it is a one-and-done circumstance. You mess up, it is your night, no matter if you mess up on the first lap or if you find yourself out of luck on the last. You can go down to pit road, of course, and get that damage repaired, but at Daytona, damage is often critical just by the nature of speed and the aggression of those around. 3 laps in out of 100. And it's still Seb Miller, Joey Chapman behind, Tyler Hampton, the inside, holds a formidable line, and Corey Blevins in the number 24 is there as well. Blevins has been showing more and more those flashes of speed. It began at the end of Season 18, where he came away with back-to-back podium finishes. Then through Season 19, showed some of that race-winning speed. Was not able to fully capitalize, but I would be surprised if another good season from Blevins sees him winless again. It just would be the opposite of too good to be true. It would be far too surprising for someone who's been that good. He finds himself again in the top 10 right now, but it looks like most drivers are backing off outside of about 20th here. Dylan Wedgwood in 16th is bridging the gap between the first main pack and the secondary guys as Colton Gardner runs 17th. Qualified second, mind you, he's really dropped down. Curtis Granger, 77, 18th up to 16th, gaining 2 on the day to this point, so very conservative gains early on, and I think that's going to be the trend for the night. Not expecting to see drivers turn it all the way up until very late in the going, but one driver that absolutely has is your new race leader, DJ Stagner. Of course, Stagner now sees Jimmy McKee right ahead of him. But the difference was McKee blocking hard, DJ having to push his way up And all of a sudden now, you got yourself a new fight. It's no longer Miller the leader, but instead his teammate. And for Sebastian Miller, perhaps the worst thing is he's being blocked and defended by the number 9 of Jimmy McKee. McKee takes himself right to where he needs to be, the inside groove, and he's stifling that momentum down low, which means that the Swamp Motorsport guys can't quickly get together. 6 laps in, that's the way they roll. DJ Stagner still barreling on the high side with the advantage. Scott Zellner taking it 8th up to 2nd, 6 places gained. And it looks like such is the trend now for some of the guys in the top 10. Tom Bourne is so far the highest placed rookie of any of them, and he's also the one who's made the most moves to go up from 21st to 8th place, gaining 13 in only 6 laps. Bourne maybe showing some signs that he too can compete up front and early. Last season we only had one rookie making it up there early in the going, and that was Joshua Sim. Sim ended up being involved in the late race wreck, which caught him on the offside of things. Nevertheless, he put himself back together for the rest of the season. Bourne right now runs in 5th, and while the inside had early control in those first 2 laps, it looks like now with DJ Stagner at the helm, he's got the trust of the field to bring the outside to power, and with him, Scott Zellner. Zellner, of course, the winningest man to ever run in the Highline Racing League with more than 20 career wins. He is undoubtedly the best driver to ever do it when it comes to the numbers and the longevity. Last season, 2nd in points, and he clawed back up to Lucas Lodato in what seemed to be an impossible fight. What it started as, of course, was all Lucas Lodato and all of his teammates. Then from there, it ended up being Zellner clawing race in, race out with some bad races from Lodato. Well, Zellner had the gap for the championship within a race on the final night, just couldn't do it. Lodato ended up just out finishing him. DJ Stagner leading the way, and it's going to be now a little bit more momentum on the inside. Jimmy McKee getting that push and shove going. Sebastian Miller getting it back up to speed. Side by side, Jimmy McKee with a slight advantage. Scott Zellner now laying back, but most likely Stagner gets the surge off the outside. 2 by 2 all the way down the line. Looking at Nicholas Blackerby, another rookie here. He is caught up in the mid-pack and all-around veteran. So while Tom Bourne had a little bit of a breakout and a breakaway, he is also now getting stuck up as the inside groove tries to move further up the pack. The only drivers who really have freedom right now are those top 2, and that, of course, is Stagner and Zellner. They dictate the field, they dictate where they go, and they don't have to worry about anyone ahead of them or really beside them. 10 laps in out of 100. DJ holds fort. Then from there, Tyler Hampton in the number 5. Watch him. He's got the 98 of Joey Chapman. And Hampton, of course, is looking to finally take that next step and become a championship contender. Multi-time winner in multiple seasons. Last season, not going his way. He had some good runs, but late race incidents, like one at Bristol, cost him from finding the checkered flag. With Hampton on the bottom, still looking to see if that momentum comes in for the inside. To this point, not quite. DJ Stagner's outside is holding a consistent advantage of at least 3 cars, momentum-wise, all the way back down to Jimmy McKee. He's now about 5 cars back. If you take a look on board, you'll see what's going on here. McKee gets better chances on the entries of these corners, but the back straightaways where everything redistributes itself all over again. DJ and Scott Zellner have worked together very well so far, and you gotta look out because 15th up to 3rd, Lucas Lodato now is to the back end of the number 2. Championship rivals last time around. That was last season, and a new time to fight again, this time for a race win. We'll see if Lodato can get by. Three of the Swamp guys in the top 5 now. Lucas Lodato making himself the 3rd of which, and while DJ and, of course, Sebastian Miller qualified successfully, what's going on for the driver behind Lodato has been a little bit more of a hard fight upward. DJ was in the top 10. Miller had the pole. Lodato is coming from just within the top 15 to make his way through. Obviously, right now, if you look at Lucas Lodato, you would think that based on last season, he is far from done. But the question becomes that team support at Daytona. Right now, it's not total domination for the Swamp guys, but they do have a lot of those good positions locked up. Miller as the pusher down low. DJ Stagner's the outright leader on the top side here. And Lucas Lodato at any moment could decide to go down to the inside groove, and maybe he could take that and bring Miller with him. He hasn't decided to so far, and everyone who's on the high side has been very loyal up top. Ryan Potter in 4th right now, watching as well. Not to mention, you've got Potter now in the mix. So look at that again. You've got the 99 of Potter, the 1 of Lodato. Oh, Tom Bourne to the inside. And now the rookie wants to lead a line. Tom Bourne makes his move. Jimmy McKee tries to look up on Colton Gardner. No dice, that's not going to work out. Colton ends up staying back as a result here. But Bourne takes the edge. Jimmy McKee goes to the high side. Miller is left with a really risky opportunity here. He'll have to deal with the rookie in its very first time taking control. Tom is going to find himself now about 5 or 6 cars back on leader Stagner. The inside usually has that edge of strength in numbers, and for the time being anyway, you can look at it here and it's pretty clear. It's the outside. Even if the numbers are just about even, DJ Stagner and Zellner have commanding leadership, and nobody's been able to hold a candle. Lucas Lodato, 15th up to 3rd. Podium, 2 of 3 for the Swamp guys. Scott Zellner still holding the middle, and I think that might be the most integral position for now. Talking about strategy as this race goes on, it's most likely going to be a 2-stop race no matter what happens, which means that as we come up on the 3rd waypoint of this race, or about lap number 30 to 35, the drivers would head down a pit road for the first time. One driver off the lead lap is Jacob Hamm in the number 44. He's had some connection problems, and so it looks like he's back on the way, qualifying 34th, now sitting 6 laps down in 35th. Drivers in the front of the field are going to get up to him anytime soon, and most likely by lap number 20, he'll be put another lap down. That'll send him 7 under. DJ Stagner at the line again leading, but notably, Tom Bourne and Seb Miller are now working it up. Miller getting closer, and he's got to push and shove with Tom Bourne right ahead of him. Got to build that chemistry driver to driver, of course. Here's Seb Miller right now. What it really comes down to is trusting the guy ahead of you now. Jimmy McKee has been in this series for several seasons, a championship contender with one of the most well-established teams on this entire league as a platform. So, you look at that, and then you go down to Tom Bourne, who's coming in for the very first time. It's a little bit trickier because you don't know what to expect out of a driver that you have never seen beforehand. And nevertheless, so far, Bourne has done a solid job, but right now it looks like it's just him all alone compared to some of the super teams up in front. And of course now, with Seb Miller pushing harder and harder, could be Bourne, who shot out on his own. Here, Miller, Stagner, side by side. Bourne is looking high. He goes for it. Now blocking the outside groove and taking control. DJ Stagner, contact! Leaders going through the grass. It's Tom Bourne and DJ Stagner. Yellow flags out. Bourne and Stagner avoid getting into the wall, but there's trouble right behind the caution downs. And a bigger wreck comes after the first hit. Yellow flag, Stagner and Bourne will continue on. And DJ, seeing that block on the outside, he was not a fan of that in the slightest. Watch both them dig into the grass as Stagner makes contact with the left side quarter panel of the 96. And so contact and they spin. Meanwhile, check the back of the field because this is where things get very dicey very fast. And it wasn't just that first incident. The problem ended up being after that. Roberto Ramirez, chain reaction into the 45 of Jackson Hartman. Then Curtis Granger goes down and in. And the 45, well, that's Jackson. He goes up and out. Hits Roberto Ramirez. Ty Smith makes contact. And big hits. Kenny Brooks, Terry Brooks as well. Jacob Hahn with a T-bone. And he's a lapper. And he just got into Adam Bozzi. First caution of the night. As the field gets back together, leaders stay out, and it's going to be 19 laps in out of 100. Yellow flag, one of the day. First caution of the night, and about a fifth of the way in, drivers are heading down to pit road. It'll be Sebastian Miller leading everyone through, and with Miller comes the entire pack. So either way, it's still going to be a multi-stop race as we expected. Let's see who wins the race off pit road, though, as the entire leading bunch comes in together. Miller first in, and it looks like he's got a good chance of coming first out. And that he will. It'll be Seb Miller. Then it'll be Scott Zellner just behind him. Ryan Potter. Lucas Lodato comes through, as does Jimmy McKee for fifth. And to wrap up the top 10, you've got Colton Gardner, Scott Wheeler, Joey Chapman, Tyler Hampton, and Tyler Blevins going down the line. That's your top 10 after your first pit cycle of the day. Miller holds fort. Meanwhile, DJ Stagner still out there, and rather in there as he lies on pit road. DJ staying there, as you see, here's one lapper getting himself back together, Kenny Brooks. And with DJ staying on pit road, gotta look and see where, of course, Tom Bourne is. And it looks like right now, Bourne is on the way. Tom comes out with Adam Bozzi, and luckily, as Tom was collected in that wreck, he didn't end up hitting the wall and only slid right by it. So he'll be able to continue on despite what happened. And it looked like DJ Stagner will be able to as well. Coming to one lap to green, it'll be lap 22 of 100 when we set it back in motion. Miller, then Zellner, then Ryan Potter, the 1, 2, 3 as we roll back to speed. Seb Miller, Ryan Potter, Lucas Lodato, all three Swamp teammates line up on the bottom. Then it'll be Scott Zellner, Jimmy McKee, and with them, you'll watch out as Colton Gardner lines up third row outside. Scott Wheeler, former champ, former back-to-back champ, looking as just 2 rows ahead. A guy who could go for his back-to-back titles runs in front. Lodato is not too far right now from the race lead. He is yet to get to it. DJ Stagner, the only one of the Swamp guys who's led multiple laps to this point. Miller, however, is next to change that. DJ is on the lead lap. He just comes out a little bit later. He's in 27th. 22 laps in, which means that if we go under green and the average fuel load that we can give these guys coming at about 85, 90 miles, well, looking at the numbers, it's going to be tight to be a two-stop race from here. Not impossible. The stints would be about 36 laps long under ideal circumstances, and even then, that's 72 laps. 72 on top of the 21 we have, that's 93 racing laps, so fuel saving will have to be put into play, and of course with the draft, not everyone's going to be pulling 100%, but a two-stopper overall will be tight. We'll see whether or not drivers can make things happen on that regard. But of course, what we see first is the beginning. Green flags out. Sebastian Miller gets the ball rolling. And to his inside, he's got his teammates. To his outside, title rivals already coming back together. Zellner and Lucas Lodato. Stacking up on the outside groove, Jamie McKee coming with Scott Zellner here. Watches the 98 comes by. That's Joey Chapman. And Joey is a driver we have seen on and off over the past few seasons. We saw him in the development series, the truck series through late 2023. And it looks like now finally getting a chance to go at it in the Premier Series. For Joey right now, it looks like this first start has proven to be somewhat successful, getting some time up in front. Hasn't yet led a lap, but he qualified third, and it looks like the pace is absolutely still there. "23 laps in, quarter of the way mark already coming up. Biggest mover inside the top 15 is 32nd up to 11th, the man who's now made it for 21 places. That is, of course, Scott Wheeler. Wheeler's now got behind him the rookie in the 96. That's Tom Bourne. Take a look back. Tom gives a little bit of a nudge. Nothing too crazy, just a little contact on the way through, and Wheeler feels it. But it's no harm, no foul, as these drivers can go bumper to bumper in the Gen 6 package. A few notable paint schemes. You'll see Dylan Poteet looking a little bit different tonight. The 31 shades of Christopher Bell in his time in the Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity program. Right behind him, 21 of Jim Fott for Hoosier Buckeye Racing. Throwing it back to 1990. And the Purelator Derek Cope paint scheme, in which Cope came away with perhaps the most unexpected victory, the Daytona victory, of course, over Dale Earnhardt Sr., who ended up blowing a tire in the final set of corners. Cope came away for his first of 2 wins that season. He raced for almost or more than 30 years after that, never coming away with another victory after Dover in that same season. Nevertheless, the 500 being the crown jewel victory of crown jewel victories, and Derek Cope got that one. Maybe tonight you'll see a little bit of luck for the 21 team and Jim Fott as he goes for a half-distance run. 25 laps out of 100 so far. Jim Fott careening down the back straightaway is just behind him. Dalton Beer, number 38, goes up high. If you've got a favorite driver, make sure to let us know. Gaping Ginger coming in for Jim. Chad Winstead in the number 60 crew coming through as Terrell Dancy. Thank you for stopping by. We've got 30-plus drivers, and I'm sure there's a fan for each and every one of them who's watching right now. So sound off in the live chat room. We'd love to hear who you are supporting tonight. A lot of great talents. Of course, each and every one of them getting their time in the sun right now as we go racing from Daytona. 32 still on the lead lap. Going back to Kenny Brooks right now. And 30 are in the main 2 packs. You see here Matthew Rodriguez and Justin Baxter. Then you got that second pack led now by Adam Bozzi, who was running in 21st. The top 20 run as a conglomerate. They're double file and they're 10 rows deep, led by Zellner. Quarter of the way down, and more than that to come. Miller, Zellner, toe-to-toe. And it looks like Scott Zellner, even though he didn't qualify in second, I'll tell you this much, it looks like he's been in second more than any other driver tonight, be it on the outside or on the inside, pushing with Stagner, pushing now by himself with Jimmy McKee as support. He knows the podium just about as well as pole sitter Miller, and he had to claw his way to get up there. Now the question becomes, what's the support going to look like for Zellner? The Flying Scotsman could come together, and that, of course, would be Wheeler. Scott Wheeler, Scott Zellner. Probably one of the most successful duos by the numbers, of course, in Highline Racing League history. You got the winningest ever driver in Zellner and a two-time champ in Scott Wheeler. Now, Wheeler's been waiting several seasons to get back to victory lane. It hasn't been since season 16 now, and that is years of anticipation. But his teammate Zellner has been able to click off a victory in just about every season of action that we've covered on FTN. Zellner holds forward, Jimmy McKee, Colton Gardner, and now the 96 again. Watch that rookie of Tom Bourne. He's making his way in, up 15 places, and he might just go further as he looks for the lead again to the inside with the support from the 98. Pushing again. Watch now as Joey Chapman gets it side by side with McKee and Colton Gardner, respectively. And the 9 keeps on chugging. Jimmy McKee, now with Scott Zellner. It looks like this duo is working about as well as Stagner did previously with Zellner. Toe-to-toe as a lapper is moved out of the way, that being Kenny Brooks. Kenny gets out of every driver's sight pretty quickly. The main pack is able to get away, no problems there, and luckily, since we're not going triple file or anything all too extreme, that wasn't going to be a problem. Brooks right now is one down, the only driver in that category. Everyone else who is off the lead lap is multiple laps down. The next driver being Roberto Ramirez in the number 42. A brief note about Ramirez, as you see there, some critical right side damage, of course. He's got himself a returning number last season, season 19. He ran the number 41. However, it looks like once again he has brought back what he's been best known for, and that, of course, is the number 42. And tonight, it's a throwback paint scheme, early 1980s. Kyle Petty, when he used to run under the Petty Enterprises brand, it was Richard in the 43 and Kyle in the 42. For a while there, Kyle ended up running in the 42, the 44, and the 45 over the course of his career, and his first ever stock car racing victory came in the 1979 Speed Weeks iteration of the ARCA 200, and at that point, I believe it was Kyle Petty in the 44, before he ended up running in the NASCAR Cup Series. He made his debut the year after in 1980. Tom Bourne, the rookie, looking good so far as he takes the race lead for lap 31. To the inside, Joey Chapman, and he's coming through like a rocket ship. Disconnects from Miller, and he almost has a car length clear. Bourne gets the run again, and Scott Zellner helps out. And just like that, it's going to be advantage 96 with a shove from 2 Zellner. Ramirez coming up. Roberto quickly drops down to the inside groove and gets out of harm's way. That's going to help out now, though, for the outside because they don't have to consider anything about getting by the lapper. Ramirez stays low, doesn't go down to the apron, which gives it a little bit of a tighter feel for the drivers, but they get away. Again, drivers on the lead lap do have the right to continue fighting on, but right now Ramirez is 3 laps down. He was 2 laps down last time by, and it looks like he finds himself a little bit further back for the time being. Again, he is several laps up on the drivers behind him in Jacob Halm and Jackson Hartman, but still a banged up Roberto Ramirez after that first wreck falls further behind. Scott Zellner bobbles ever so slightly. It's going to be now Tom Bourne working. He's got himself that high side. Joey Chapman has Sebastian Miller, and it looks like now you've got, effectively speaking, 2 rookies up in front. For the Joey Chapman crew, it could be a first ever opportunity to go full time. And for the man up in front, P1, that of course is Tom Bourne. Nobody else to ask. Of course, besides Bourne himself, this rookie's got the stuff, and if these guys don't know it, well, they absolutely know it now. 34 laps in out of 100, and it's going to be all out for these top 4 drivers. Everyone further back, though, they still can get dicey. Corey Blevins, side by side. Blevins takes it 3, and it looks like he's still there. Dawson Buchanan's got himself a little bit of a rough ride on the inside here. Matt Muir up top in the 72, that Jack Daniels Toyota Camry. Well, this is not a good spot to be in if you're Corey Blevins. I don't think it's a good spot for any of these drivers, though, but if you're on the inside, you can at least break away. If you're on the outside, you've got the wall. You're not going to fly out of the place. If you're in the middle, well, the big problem is right here. What's going to happen? It's dependent on the drivers around you. You could be shot up the track. You could be brought down the track. You could be torn out the frame. That's one way to put it. But it looks like for Blevins anyway, he'll get himself back in line. Now that's the worst thing you could be part of. 3 wide and antsy. That looked to be a calm situation, but about 70 laps from now, or about 65, doing the numbers anyway, it's not going to be the same. Blevins getting a taste of it early, but everyone gets out of it fine, and Corey right now, he backs off. Coming across the line, Tom Bourne leads again. Joey Chapman stays second. How about these newcomers up in front? Love to see the new faces, and also Josh Christman in the number 86. Now, he hasn't made his moves up front just yet, but he's a driver we've been seeing on Monday nights in the Integrity Ignite series, and it looks like now he's doing double duty on FTN, racing for the first time on these Thursdays. Wonderful to have Josh going at it as well. He currently rides in 22nd, up 5 places relative to where he began, and so he's ahead of DJ Stagner right now. He's alongside Bozzy and Dylan Poteet, winning company even at the back of this field right now. So if you're not in the top 15, you don't have to concern yourself just yet. There's a lot of time to do things right. Nicholas Blackerby seeing one get a little bit close behind, and that's an antsy move from Dylan Wedgwood. Dylan in the 14, now trying to stay ahead of Chad Winstead. And side by side, double file once more, but you saw Wedgwood, maybe at the corner of your screen. He went to the middle groove briefly. Didn't end up being there for all too long, but that's something that's always an indicator of a little bit more racing tension. Usually, when these drivers are in this double file formation and they're staying that way, they give each other distance. But if you're a driver who wants to make passes, sometimes you can't afford yourself the luxury of making those moves without doing things a little bit different, and that also comes in the form of slicing by and making things happen delicately. Oftentimes, it's not about the easiest way to do it, and usually the easiest way to do it gives someone else more problems, but it's about the right way to do it. You don't want to end up barreling into someone else, and so far, everyone's had a great time in respecting one another. The only issue was that first caution, and honestly, it was the collateral from that damage and not the main hit that gave away the problem. Rare that that's the case, but in this instance, with DJ Stagner getting involved, of course, with the rookie who's now way back. And of course, that's something that happens. Rookies and veterans getting together, when they fight, it happens. Justin Baxter is still in 28th right now, mind you. It looks like he's got some drafting support, but not nearly as much as when it was all up in front. And DJ Stagner, likewise here, you don't see him moving up to the head of the field. He's in the main pack, though. That's all he has to worry about right now. And in due time, we will most likely see DJ Stagner make his way. Tom Bourne still leading laps. It's going to be all Bourne almost every single time by as of late. He keeps on going. Here's Terry Brooks in the number 23. Brooks, 10 laps down. And it looks like he's going to be moving down to the bottom through 3 and 4. Everyone gets by him. A little bit narrower again through these corners, but Terry does not bow down. Now for Brooks, of course, He's looking to find a first victory. It's been several seasons for him since a critical podium, which he got in Bakersfield, California. Chad Winstead won that night. That was season 17, mind you. And that ended up being the championship winning win for Winstead. That was his one and only, and that's all he needed. Brooks had his best finish of the year, and season 17 was the last time we saw him so close to victory so late in the going. Brooks has the talent, and he's been a consistent top 15 runner now for years, but that first win, maybe it's going to elude him tonight. He's 11 laps down. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but at the very same time, it's not easy to come back from this long and this large a deficit with almost half this race concluded. "41 laps in. Tom Bourne up 20 places from 21st to 1st. He's the driver so far who has kept everyone not on their toes, but definitely paying attention to the rookies. And it's not amateur hour when you're leading with this level of expertise and commanding the field. And with Scott Zellner entrusting him to do so, well, that is another big deal. I think if Zellner was uncomfortable, you would see him rocket right out of this one. Doesn't mean that Zellner doesn't like being the leader, or rather that he doesn't like being the follower, but I think right now when you consider it, it doesn't seem like the bad or worst thing to do if you're Zellner. Maybe it's not the best, but right now he's saving fuel and getting himself prepared for the most important distance of all, the final 10 laps when everyone goes at each other. You don't want to burn yourself out too early. Talking about burning out, let's talk about fuel. Stint time so far for these drivers, it's been 22 laps. We are anticipating that within the next 15 laps, drivers will head down to pit road. The estimates are that drivers can go comfortably until lap 95, but everything after that, which is 12 and a half miles of gray area, that is not a guarantee. That all comes down to how well drivers fuel save, how aggressive they decide to be, and I'll tell you this much, we are running good laps. Pace-wise, we are still right on the needle. So, 42 laps in, we're running some sub 46 second laps. I'll tell you this much, it's very, very close calls on fuel if this is the attitude drivers have. Again, not a bad thing to be competitive, but I think that if we're going to go the distance, it's going to be closer than they would expect unless we see a huge backing down of the pace. Halfway at lap 50. Final pit stops would be expected within the late 60s to mid-70s. The window stays wide open depending on who prepares the best to go the distance. Top two have been comfortable so far, and unlike what DJ Stagner got himself involved with, we haven't seen a lot of direct side-by-side or racing action among those who are line leaders. If you lead a line, you've got yourself there. To the inside, here comes the number 42, Roberto Ramirez. And again, he's going to be putting another lap down that puts him 4 under. Ramirez this time going to be forced out of the apron, the inside groove clamping him in, and so he'll pull right back up after Adam Bozzi. Right now, Adam appearing to be the final driver of this main pack, and that is indeed the case. Queen City Racing, one of those successful guys out of that camp. Season 16, back-to-back race winner, perhaps the highlight of his career to this point. I would say that if Bozzi can just get those runs together, it's just about being consistent, and it's just about finishing the races. It would take him from where he often is, sitting in the back half of the top 10 to the upper half of the top 15 in points, to a real contender again. Something we know he can be, because in critical races, he can come away with wins. Again, the Gen 6 season, season 16, a two-time race winner, back-to-back weeks, in completely different styles of tracks. Bozzi has what it takes. He's running 27th right now, and he's playing that more conservative route, which could pay off for long-term dividends, because what's going on right now will not win you the race, but what happens at lap 100 will. It's not unbelievable to say, it is hyperbole, but it's not impossible to say that everyone ahead of Adam Bozzi wrecks at the end of the race. We've seen wrecks that extreme before. It could happen again. You're in the main pack. You're in the main pack. board now, this time for the backside of your race. Oh, we got a shuffle, and it's all the way down to the inside. One goes, and that's going to be Alan Kunman. Kunman saves it, and it looks like a little bit of a scuffle coming out of two, but everyone's together. 46 laps in, that could have been real bad. You know, we were going to take a lead lap, quite literally. Take a lap on board with your leader, but take a look from the mid-pack with driver telemetry at what it's like now for Alan Kunman. See here with Alan Kunman, it looks like even though he got shaken, he is not out of the mix. He currently runs in 11th. He's got himself some, I mean, look at those numbers. The speed over 200 miles an hour hit casually as these drivers are putting some of their fastest laps down. 206. And it looks like that's where he caps out at, 206 miles an hour, and he is right in the toe of the leaders. Alan Kunman now looking as the outside is completely different. You got Colton Gardner as the leading man of that outer groove. That was only briefly as Tom Bourne rockets back up. Scott Zellner takes the bottom. Toe-to-toe, Bourne and Zellner. Colton Gardner, Jimmy McKee, side by side, all the way down. It's the rookie, Blackerby, with a big save. I mean, he was wiggling out of turn two, and again, just like what happened with Alan Kunman, that was nasty. Lucky that he didn't ricochet up into the wall and slow himself down, but also lucky that he didn't end up clamping into someone on the inside. Great driving overall from Blackerby, the rookie. Could have made that a whole lot worse, but with better judgment, he escaped big trouble. "50 laps in out of 100. Lucas Lodato, 15th to 12th. Tyler Hampton, 5th to 13th, the dichotomy. And what a big difference it is. Of course, it's the up and up for Lodato trying to make his moves again. And Tyler Hampton back down from where he qualified. Oh, Caleb Morrissey. Okay, now this explains something that we were talking about before. The speeds are so high that the tires are actually losing grip. We're going 206. That means that these tires are squealing. So when drivers get loose off the corner, they get loose outright. That is why. You don't often see that with the next-gen cars or the Xfinity cars. That's because they're usually topping out at about lap, or rather 180, 185, and lap after lap. That's not a big deal. But when you're going 206 and you're going 200 miles an hour through the corners, it's not even the straightaway top speed. It's the corner top speed that does everything. These guys are going 199 through the corners. That is ridiculous. And when you do that lap after lap, rubber begins to burn. That is inevitability, and that's why you're starting to see some control. Halfway down, halfway to go. The bobbles are becoming more frequent. That's a sign. It's a sign of the times. But what it also signals is something pretty clear here. We're going to have to see drivers coming down a pit road pretty soon. Before we head down to your strategy discussion, the Jonestown Jet, Caleb Morrissey. He's been with us on FTN since the beginning in 2022. And tonight, you might notice the front end is looking a little bit different. Smitty's Welding and Fabrication, new sponsor on the hood tonight. And you can see that black and white logo as we take a look overhead. Smitty's getting on board the channel lock number 6. Morrissey in a slightly refitted number 6 paint scheme overall. A little bit less red on the bottom lining, a little bit more of that iconic blue. So So, Caleb, 29th to 13th. He's a former SuperSpeedway winner in this league. Got to go back to season 15 in Talladega, the last time he did it. On board is still leading with 48 laps to go, and Colton Gardner now holds on as his second man. P1 and P2, 48 laps to go. Scott Zellner, 8th to 4th. Now, if you take a look behind Zellner, he's got Jimmy McKee. This duo was working as the overall leaders just a few laps ago, just about a dozen or so. And now it looks like they're going to find themselves together again, this time on the bottom. Jimmy stays tucked in, and Scott Zellner, of course, a driver to be confident in. But when you have a middleman like Zellner, you also see the Blacktop boys. Here's the number 8 of Alan Kunman, a former champion against a first-time driver. And I would say that, honestly, tonight, it's a pretty fair matchup. These drivers have been connected, and they have stayed that way. And it doesn't matter if you're the first driver, of course, making your way through. Well, it looks like for a first race or for a 101st race, everyone's been relatively even. 46 laps to go. Alan Kunman holds forth. Now, interestingly enough, some team changes have been made over the past few weeks now. Here's one thing. When you look at Jimmy McKee, number 9 team is working tonight with the 4 horsemen, and so it looks like a little bit of a shuffle up there. Morrissey, Wheeler, Zellner all coming through. And of course, the Flying Scotsman, among others. 46 laps remaining. Joey Chapman right there. And here's Scott Wheeler at 97, 32nd up to 8th. Now, take a look at this one here. The quick lane Ford Mustang. The Flying Scotsman have been a little bit more separate than maybe we'd expect. The 4 horsemen are really good at coordinating on the racetrack. I would say maybe they're not Swamp Motorsport level because they've done a remarkable job historically, and they do it every year. But Scott Wheeler and Scott Zellner, they often, we got contact up high, the 44, Jacob Hamm. Everyone gets away, and Hamm looks to be out of this one very quick. Jacob Hamm, the lapper, 7 laps down, just found himself in additional trouble. Watch this. And it looks like an issue for the 44 of Hamm. Watch what happens here. I just rocketed up. Now, we're going to take a look inside the cockpit because that might just be an equipment failure. Take a look. And just let's go. That is completely unusual. And you'll see he's down on pit road as it stands, but not at all natural movement. Meanwhile, you got the 4 horsemen now working together. There's Scott Wheeler, there's Caleb Morrissey, and you might also notice Scott Zellner, the 4 horsemen, all out. And they got Jimmy McKee as their 4th man tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4. The teammates come through with 44 laps to go. Yeah, Jacob Hamm is going to report that was a technical failure, unfortunately. And that's going to take him off the track in an emergency exit. Hobby Dad in the chat room will tell you this much: things are getting wild. We're starting to see drivers pushing the limits of man and machine, even if it's just a virtual race. There's Kenny Brooks on the inside. They'll get by him swiftly. Ooh, the leaders have to shuffle hard as... I'm not sure what that was supposed to be from the 58 of Justin Baxter, maybe a faux block, but it had some real implications. Luckily, they'll get away from Baxter there, but that was not the move at all. To the inside, here comes Tom Bourne with Colton Gardner and also the 98 of Joey Chapman. 1, 2, 3, another small gaggle of cars comes in. Mind you, the stint data will tell you the story. After about 38 laps for these drivers, they'll come through. Again, they were leaders. They burned a little bit more fuel. So, a 40-40 split is possible. Drivers move further back and saved, and I think you're going to see now who benefits the most from that opportunity. Side by side now, Jackson Hartman 8 laps down. We got a lapper at the front of the field, and also with him Curtis Granger. For the first time all night long, Curtis is up to P2. He qualified 18th tonight, and now, with the help of Hartman, he gets up to the race lead. And it looks like this is a very intentional pairing, two of the old legends of this series who saw a lot of their better days before the pandemic, and we've seen them sparingly ever since. Jackson Hartman made a few starts across seasons 15, 16, and of course 14 as well, but ever since then he's been largely out of the main loop. Curtis, same goes. Both have been sparingly around, but it looks like for this 20th season they're looking to return. 41 laps to go, peeling in. Curtis Granger and Jackson Hartman, the dynamic duo that has just come to the race lead, sees a slide out. Oh, that could be a penalty as both come in way too hot. Swamp sees 3, Lodato, Stagner, and Ty Smith all together, and at once they come in. So, Ty Smith requested this one. We got a little bit of time. You might notice a brand new paint scheme on that number 18. And that's because, for the time being, the swamp is down one driver. And you might have noticed that the 81 of Connor Holden is not on the racetrack tonight. This one comes courtesy of Ty Smith, so let's talk about what's going on here. We got a brand new paint scheme for Connor Holden. As you might know, these drivers, of course, have some lives off of the real racing circuit. And so, Connor Holden, relationship outside, he's got a girlfriend to worry about. He's not inside the virtual car. But that explains the paint scheme. As you might see, it says Connor on a leash. He's not with us today. Might not be with us for most of the season, but there's the reason why. It looks like Ty Smith and the Swamp guys are unafraid to put that out to the world, as you got the Ty Strip 64 and the Swamp always bringing it to each other on those paint schemes. Now they're bringing it to former leader Bourne. You see there, the Ghost Toyota Camry coming with the 97, or the 98 of Joey Chapman. The 97 of Wheeler, in fact, is ahead, as the 4 horsemen, I think, have won this pit cycle so far. Dylan Poteet is the leading man, and he's opting to come in this time by. After more than 40 laps, he has mathematically guaranteed he will be good to go the rest of the way. He'll come now with the Hoosier Buckeye Racing boys of Tyler Hampton and Jim Fott. Also, Matt Muir, Dawson Buchanan, and Corey Blevins. This is one of the last big bunches, as you see now, coming out of pit road. You got Josh Christman, Alan Kunman, Seb Miller, and Adam Bozzi. And a shot through for the race leaders here. It looks like, according to timing and scoring, it will be Caleb Morrissey, the net race leader. Morrissey comes around this time by. As he does so, he should be able to overtake the entire group of the field. Four horsemen coming right by pit road. Quickly past the Derek Cope paint scheme, quickly past his teammate Tyler Hampton. And just like that, look at that 1, 2, 3, 4. But look who's the 5th man right now. We'll take a look inside his car. The defending champ, Lucas Lodato. Lodato stays with these single file boys up in front. How long until the field comes together? That's the question. Now, you got these guys 4 seconds ahead of Colton Gardner, but this is a big pack. I mean, you got Gardner, and then this goes all the way down to Ty Smith. So this is from 6th down to 18th. 12 drivers as a whole. Then you have Dawson Buchanan, Jim Fott, Matt Muir, and Corey Blevins down to 22nd. So what you're looking at here is a combination of about 16 drivers who are chasing after only 6. Now, usually that's pretty much a death spell for these lead guys, but strength in numbers isn't always a good thing when you're running side by side. Last time by, a blistering lap for Caleb Morrissey, 45.471. It was a 4/10 of a second slower lap there for Dylan Poteet, who's in this big pack. Huge run. Now could be put together because they're single file, but when they're double file, it's exactly the opposite. You're taking away that speed from each other. Side drafting doesn't bring speed to the table, it takes speed away. And you can see it clear as day now that these drivers are pulling 201 miles an hour. I mean, look at the numbers. We'll put them on the left side of your screen through the next set of corners. 7th place Tyler Hampton gets to a low of 196 through the corner. A low. Now you don't even see them go 200 at their highest points of speed in the next-gen stock cars. Watch this. 198, 199, hitting 200, and now pulling through again. That lap was 0.8 of a second faster than the time previous, and 0.4 quicker than what we saw out of Morrissey and company. And it looks like now they're really getting the grips with what they need. Caleb Morrissey, that time by, ran a 45-second lap as well, but it was half second slower. So now, watch. Colton Gardner, Tyler Hampton, Dylan Poteet all have the perfect opportunity. They're going to gain. And within 10 laps, it's very likely it's going to be 20-plus cars together again, as it was at the beginning of the cycle. Gap is now 4 seconds on the dot. So it looks like the average gain, half a second per lap for Group 2. Jacob Hall, unfortunately, it looks like that was the second instance in the same race, and unfortunately for him, that's going to cause a retirement that, unfortunately, has to happen. When you have those equipment failures, it's a detriment to everyone on the field. But for Jacob Hall, we're hoping, of course, to see him come back and go at it for next week. Again, we're running the schedule randomizer for the season, so we don't know exactly where we're going to be going, but we know it's going to be a fun race because, well, let's talk about that. The schedule this season is 14 consecutive weeks. We don't have an off week, but it does mean we get done before Thanksgiving. We're going to a cookie cutter, and that might sound boring, but those mile-and-a-half tracks always give way to good runs. It could be either Charlotte, Chicagoland, Kentucky, or Las Vegas. There are some good options right there. Not as many as last season for these categories. We've weeded down what works and what doesn't, and it means that even though we know what it's going to be generally, you're never going to know exactly what to expect until you get there. Colton Gardner right now finding himself only 3 seconds away. Here we go. This is going to get serious very fast, and when it does, it also brings us to another question. Are we going to see them go immediately double file and immediately aggressive, or will they link up, save, and then really go at each other? It could go that route, or you could see an immediate 0 to 100. .32 laps to go. Caleb Morrissey now watches it's only 63 thousandths behind his own teammate in Zellner. Caleb now finds himself in that position as the line leader and team leader in this situation. I mean, that's a great place to be until everyone else comes after your team. Now, of course, the problem becomes, when is that going to happen and how can you prepare for it? The when? Well, it's inevitable when the field finally decides to go at it and go side by side. But how it happens, how you defend, that's a case-by-case basis. And you can never, no matter really what it is, guarantee how to do it. I mean, last season, even though Lucas Lodato got the win at Daytona, the Swamp guys self-imploded and we saw these guys sacrifice each other. Unfortunately, that's just the way it turned out. The rest of the field came in and they got close. The problem was, from there on out, the issue became wrecking each other. Unintentional, yes, but when you're in the heat of the moment, you might not make the right calls. Coming to 30 laps to go this time by. Now looking behind, only a 1 second gap between Colton Gardner and Tyler Hampton's crew compared to the first 5 in front. Gardner has made the distance up. He's got Jackson Hartman now just ahead of him, so he's going to make the move to peel out and try to keep himself out there. And ahead of Hartman, Trying to put the lapper aside. Is this the right call for Colton, though? He doesn't have a lot of help. He'll only have Ryan Potter immediately shoot up top. Already side by side. Now, it's going to be for the number 77 team anyway, Curtis Granger. He's looking for his help. And it comes to the form of that lapper in Jackson Hartman. So Curtis and Hartman are the duo to look out for in this mid-pack who haven't gotten together yet. Jackson goes up high. Is this going to be the signal now for, of course, Curtis Granger to get up with him? And it looks like it is. Toe-to-toe and a massive surge at 200 miles an hour, putting Dylan Poteet out of line. Curtis Granger gets by Poteet, blocks Stagner by proxy. Now Stagner has to go by Dylan Poteet side by side. He's got room to go down low if he needs it. He'll take it. Jackson Hartman now behind, and it's going to be splitting up those teammates briefly. While Caleb Morrissey now has to block both grooves. 29 laps remaining. It's double defense. One is a teammate, one is not. Caleb's got to really put his focus now on what he sees below him. .28 laps to go. Caleb Morrissey now, he looks like with each passing lap, an increasingly real chance he and the four horsemen bring it to victory lane. Whether or not that happens, of course, comes down to a lot of collaboration and a lot of work. But when you're here, with more than 3/4 of this race effectively out of the way, it's far from impossible, and it becomes even more likely when you got the four horsemen as a whole together again. I mean, what's happening right now is Caleb Morrissey going up high. He's got his entire team training, and then, if it isn't enough, the expertise of this team as well. Oh, Scott Wheeler, though, he's going to make a big bottle on the inside. Everyone gets away. That was luck. I mean, Wheeler there, we talk about expertise, he's able to save himself, but watch what just happened. And it looks like you can't. That's the trick. He had a connection problem. And it looks like as he came back into the picture, watch, he's gone, and then he returns. By the time he's back in the frame, he's shaking out of line. So a huge blip for the 97 of Wheeler, and it actually takes him out of the draft entirely. Horrible as he's going 185 miles an hour. That's not quick enough, not nearly quick enough to catch up. He's 15 miles an hour too slow, and that is horrible news for the 97 as it leaves 3 of the 4 horsemen now up in front. Connection causes the issue, and now Wheeler is way back. Colton Gardner, 26 laps to go. Watch what happens here as Caleb Morrissey also finds himself right alongside. And it looks like for the time being, as Caleb Morrissey gets side by side with Lucas Lodato, Gardner getting his time in the sun, team has to pull itself back together. Luckily, of course, what happened there was very brief, and it ended up being a major issue for the entire field. With Scott Wheeler out, that's one less driver to work with, and when strength in numbers matters, losing one is a lot more than it may seem. And now that only leaves the 4 horsemen with 3 drivers here, whereas DJ Stagner finally getting back up to the front of the field. He has 3 right with them, and he can look further back and end up getting more assistance as Ty Smith is still in the main pack. But you've got 2 teams of 3 drivers lined up side by side, 3 rows deep, and then there's Colton Gardner. Talk about the odd man out. The number 40 who leads this race has nobody, and yet he's your leading driver. That's the way it goes right now. Colton is the only driver here who is the exception, and yet he's the most successful of them all right now as he leads another lap. So far on the day, Colton has only led 3, but from qualifying second, it's no wonder he's finally getting that time up in front. Coming now to 23 laps remaining this time by. And then you'll have, of course, Caleb Morrissey side by side again with Lodato. The leader for Swamp, the leader for 4 horsemen have been just alongside each other long enough now to know that this could be it. teammates, inside and outside. But of course, when you look at them directly against each other, they are enemies on racing lines. 23 to go. Again, a big block. Caleb Morrissey getting by now Colton Gardner. And that's a huge move because not only does it give four horsemen both lines briefly, it curbs the momentum for the Swamp guys and for Colton Gardner. 23 laps to go this time by. We're coming up next on 22 laps remaining. And of course, camera angles tonight are bringing you the action, and it is tense. Whiplash SimCams, the best place to go for iRacing broadcast cameras. They're bringing you the action for season 20 and beyond. In this 20th season, there's no better way to do it than with the best coverage on the platform. And Whiplash SimCams gives professional level broadcast equipment and virtual cameras to any broadcaster who wants it. Free camera packs can be downloaded on their Discord server, and premium packages, they're yours once you buy them. No strings attached, no licensing fees necessary. $5 per track per car. Once you buy them, they are yours. 22 laps to go this time by. Thank you for tuning in live on FTN Broadcasting from the world center of racing. With 22 laps to go, let's get loud and proud and crank it up from Daytona. I have no idea how the field saved that. You saw the angle going into one. Only two drivers slid. Caleb Morrissey gets away somehow. Wow. Caution's out. Second of the day with 21 laps to go. Crank it up on hold. Teammates getting into each other. Zellner, Gardner ending up the only two casualties. We are so lucky that Morrissey controlled his return to the racetrack. Wow. It was Gardner involved after a hit from Scott Zellner into Morrissey, and two of the four horsemen, they falter. But it won't collect the field. We'll be good to go again, this time with less than 20 laps to go. Stakes are high. Stakes are high. Now, Caleb's got a little bit of right side damage, but it doesn't look like it's enough to take him out of the running. And likewise, for the number 40, who we'll look on board with right now, well, he's going to be able to continue. But of course, that hit sent him for a wild ride. Horrible for Gardner, who's having one of the best nights of his career to that point, qualifying second, leading laps, and you see he's able to really control his way out because he slows down a lot more. Morrissey, I think, for a brief moment, might have thought, oh, he can get back up there. He couldn't. Shame. Luckily, both are going to get away. So with that being said, not all doom and gloom for either the 40 nor the 6. As with 20 laps to go, we're get to set ourselves up again. Call on the field. Who's going to pit road, who's not? It looks like Lucas Lodato and Scott Zellner, positions 1 and 2, are going to change their calls. They're going to be split up. The four horsemen decide to come down, and they come down as a team. That's a deliberate call, and I think that might be the best for them. Teamwork is what they're going to bank on. Will it make the dream work? Not too sure. Everyone else decides to stay out, but it's going to be a risky call from the four horsemen to head to the back of the field intentionally and try to work it out with pit road, grouping them together again. There's Joey Chapman also on the way, Colton Gardner, Dawson Buchanan. Scott Zellner gets back out. Emma Ox in the chat room rooting for the 27 of Adam Bozzi. Adam is now up to 6th, the first time all night long he's made it this high up the ladder. Craftsman Toyota Supra, of course. It's not a Supra tonight. It's a Toyota Camry. These Gen 6 stock cars, taking it back to the way it was. I mean, it's unbelievable to say it. 2021 now being 4 years ago. We're nearly half a decade without these cars on the racing scene. The ARCA stock cars of the modern day are slightly different. They look the same, but they're not really the same. They're a lot more like the car of tomorrow, which was the generation before, which raced about 17 years ago up until the early 2010s. And from that point onward, of course, you've seen the divide between levels of stock car racing become a lot more apparent. The next-gen stock cars are much different from the Gen 6 cars. The only ones that have really stayed the same over that time, by and large, are the Xfinity cars. From 2013 to now, anyway, they're the least dissimilar from what they were. These Gen 6 cars, though, they drive real different. And the best part is we're using an effectively unrestricted package here. You're seeing we're getting up to 205, and that's a huge problem in other disciplines. These drivers are being given their full engine power, and they're using it pretty well. Coming to 18 laps remaining, the four horsemen, they're banking on a big success coming through the pack. Morrissey to 30th, Wheeler 26th, and then you've got the Flying Scotsman, of course, split up again, because it'll be Scott Zellner, who also is looking to get up there. Scott now finding himself 17th according to time and scoring. So it's 16, 17, 18 now for three of the four. Caleb Morrissey in 30th, getting some more damage repairs, and not only is he going to have to climb back up to his teammates, but he'll also have to climb up for the lead and really battle for that shot. $18 to go. By the time Caleb gets up there, it's going to be maybe a little bit less than that. He's still a half lap back, but he's got time. So the battle begins again. Lucas Lodato and DJ Stagner. This time it's between teammates, and it's a repeat of last year. DJ led to the white. Lucas led to the checkers. There's no bad blood between these guys, of course. Sometimes you can't coordinate perfectly, but I think both of them want this win badly. Competitive spirit of Swamp Motorsport, I think, also is given way to the great racing success they've had. The culture of going at it no matter who you're against doesn't mean you have to be reckless against another driver. It just means that you always have to be looking out for the better position, regardless of if you know the drivers you are around. And that's the type of attitude that will continue to give way to big success for any driver. That's why they won the team championship outright last year, and that's what brought Lodato to his first ever title. Now, we're going to try for the second time. Brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. Crank it up from Daytona. Engines will roar and you'll hear them loud and clear. Let's get loud and proud from Daytona for the second time tonight and hope it sticks. Cranking it up with 17 laps to go. 14 laps remaining. It's not a swamp driver up in front. It's not one of the four horsemen. Now, there's a swamp driver in second, and then you've got a few further back. But instead, it'll be the number 31 for Hula Monkey Motorsports. That is Dylan Poteet. Now, a few team swaps we mentioned, and another big one is that Hula Monkey Motorsports acquired the contract of the 31 for Dylan Poteet. Poteet is, by all accounts, a potent driver, but he's best known for his success at the 1 mile and under track, specifically with victories at North Wilkesboro and the Phoenix Raceway, carrying the reputation of this well-esteemed 31 team. Right now, though, oh, look at that. It's fanning back 3 wide, 3 rows deep. You've got Wedgwood, both Wedgwoods, Zellner, McKee, Stagner, Kunman, Bozzi, and coming with them is Scott Wheeler here. This is about the diciest it's been all night long, but it's not for the win. It's for about 15th place. Not something you often see, but the caliber of driver that's stuffed back there, that explains it. Those are drivers who should be going for the win, and a lot of them have been up there trying to lead laps tonight, trying to get up there and maintain that position. So it's a given that those are the guys who are now jockeying for that position like it's the most important on the racetrack. Double file all over again. Dylan Poteet with 12 laps to go, looking to bring them across the line for another. The inside has the edge. Strength in numbers is being evidenced right now better than it has been all throughout the day. A lot of the time we've had tonight, we've been a little bit against the theory of strength in numbers meaning everything. And usually, that's always the case. I mean, what we're looking at tonight has been mostly the opposite. Right now, not too much. 31 Machina Poteet comes across the line. He still holds tight. Seb Miller, first down to second. He's -1 on the day, and only just. 72, Matt Muir, 9th to 3rd in the podium placement, and he holds it steady where he is. Matt to the high spot he's had all night long, and same goes for Jim Fott now. Jim is looking to make that late race rise and emanate the victory that we saw again from Derek Cope. And interestingly enough, Derek Cope, while he won in 1990, mind you, for the Daytona 500, he ended up racing in a Gen 6 stock car. And not only that, he did so at Daytona. So even as time flies, it doesn't mean that drivers can't get behind the wheel again and again. It's one of those interesting things where decades can span, but drivers can keep on being successful. And that's something that also is true in sim racing, of course. This is our 20th season of action here in the Highline Racing League, beginning, of course, where it all began. Daytona, many a season ago. Started in 2011. It's 2025. I mean, there are drivers, of course, on iRacing who are younger than this league, and I would argue that there are hundreds, if not thousands. That just goes to show the longevity of this series. It started on the Xbox days of the Eutechnics NASCAR games, and now we're here. 3 wide, double file, 10 laps to go, coming to 9. The advantage is Poteet, but it is thick further back. And in the thick of it is Ryan Potter up high. Contact with Joey Chapman. He'll get out of it, but the 98 with a right side scuff. And a nasty scuff at that. Oh, it's more than a scuff. I'll tell you what, the 98 is going to get really banged up. Mark Martin on the side of that one. And it looks like some problems for the 98 car. Chapman is far out of the draft, and that might be his undoing fully. After lap 95, any caution we see, it'll be game over. That's going to set us to an overtime run, and if we have a caution during that overtime run, the race will conclude under caution. So, oh, this is a biggie. There we go. Sean Billman goes around spinning. You got Wedgwood, you got Scott Zellner, and Dawson Buchanan. Caution is out right before the point of no return. Yellow. Take a look back in a full lap replay. Now it's side by side, and we were saying this is surprising for the mid-teens, but it looks like those drivers graduated from out of the mid-teens to the lower top 10, and their goal is to keep on moving up, but there's only so many spots for so many drivers, and this is when you begin to see that limit come into play. It's your third caution of the night and your second of the second half. It begins out of 4. And it is Dawson Buchanan going up, collecting Sean Billman. The number 4 gets in the wall. Oh, Toby Wedgwood also gets a smack there, as does Dalton Beer. The 38 gets some contact. The rookie, the 96, Tom Bourne, gets as lucky as possible. Gets away, but you'll see Dylan Wedgwood. You'll see Scott Wheeler and Scott Zellner, the Flying Scotsman, and both the Wedgwoods involved with 8 laps to go. Dylan Poteet staying out. Track position is going to be the winning call. Everyone holds fort. And the field remains where it needs to be. That, of course, is on the racetrack. iRacing official pace car is giving us the signals that indicate we'll have 5 laps to go when we go green again. A reminder that a caution after that point will send us to our one and only overtime attempt, at which point the field is in a do-or-die position. You either succeed in getting to the end, or you're done for. Dylan Poteet, Seb Miller, Matt Muir. They've all got different stories on the racetrack tonight. I mean, the first of all is Dylan Poteet, 26th up to 1st. He's had a long time coming up this point. Had to go from outside of the top 25 to make it here. And in doing so, he spent upwards of 70 laps really out of the conversation. And yet now, he is the conversation. Doesn't matter about those first 90 laps anyway, because this is the moment of truth. Say that, say it so often, and it's harder to believe it until it's really happening. I'll say this much, it is really happening here and now. Field is single file, perhaps the biggest surprise in the top 10 based on positions gained might just be Josh Christman, 27th up to 7th. He is in a very similar boat to Dylan Poteet. They started just alongside each other in very close rows. They wouldn't end up being in the same one. It would be Poteet just ahead of Josh Christman, 13th and 14th rows respectively. So they were analogous to each other. And so now they are up there. We've got, as a matter of fact, 4 drivers in the top 10 who started outside the top 20. Jim Fott starting in 22nd, Ty Smith in 23rd, 26th in Dylan Poteet, and 27th in Josh Christman. So a 40% probability, if you took any of those guys at random, they would have started outside the top 20, and they're in the top 10 now. 3 of 5 in the top 5 started outside the top 20. So even better odds if you're in the top 5. That's very rarely the case in most racetracks, but Daytona has a knack for bringing out the unpredictable. Dylan Poteet takes low, and he'll bring with them Matt Muir and Jim Fott. Lucas Lodato will join his teammates, and wow, look at this again. You got the Swamp lined up 1, 2, 3 up high. Advantage, Swamp. And most of all, Sebastian Miller. Miller and Lodato had perhaps the most competitive instance between 2 teammates last season, in which Sebastian Miller outright got under Lucas Lodato and sent him out of the way for a win. Lodato won earlier that night. That was our Milwaukee doubleheader, in which Lodato won the road course and Seb Miller won the oval. So there's a little bit of justification there. They both ended up winners. But, I mean, you think about it, Seb Miller, he needed that win, and so he took it. And he took it by all means necessary. Five laps to go and we go green. Any caution, send us to overtime. With the cautions that have come through, it looks like we've had just enough time for drivers to save their stuff and go the distance, even if there is an overtime involved. So fuel mileage is no longer a concern. Had we gone under green, it would have been a little bit tighter. But it looks like right now, we are where we need to be. Pace car going to duck low. Dylan Poteet on the bottom. Seb Miller to the ceiling of the circuit. Here we go again. The swap is lined up 1, 2, 3, but they're going to falter early on this one. Lodato gets up with Smith. Poteet gets the run at a car length. He'll have behind him the 72 of Matt Muir as support. Green is out for your third restart of the day. 5 laps remaining. Jack Daniels, number 72 Muir, now has to see to the outside. There is a surge of momentum and a huge wiggle all the way down to the inside of the track from Lucas Lodato to Matt Muir. Another set of ridiculous saves at 190 plus miles an hour. Jimmy McKee now feeling the heat from Sean Billman. I don't understand how they're keeping these things together. I mean, look at the way that they're wiggling back and forth at speed. It's not only that these drivers know how to work these cars, but also the fact that they can stay calm in those situations. Unbelievable. 4 laps to go. Miller and Ty Smith first and second. Leader on the outside line, it's Lucas Lodato. And now Curtis Granger is the last driver who stands in the way of total swap domination. Because look at who's behind Curtis. It's the 64 of Stagner. This is getting shaky. Literally and otherwise. Alan Cudman takes it up high. He'll bring with him the rookie. Here comes Bourne. Tom Bourne, that is. 3 wide again. Coming to 3 laps to go. 3 wide, 4 rows deep. And you'll have to look back next, all the way back to Corey Blevins to see the first break. Seb Miller now getting pushed out of the way. Lucas Lodato's gotten ahead of Ty Smith. 1, 2, 3 for the swamp. DJ Stagner mired back. He's trying to get up to Ryan Potter now and make it another duo. DJ Stagner goes with Ryan. We might just see a huge boost for these mid-packers. DJ is going to take it to the back of the top 10. Sacrificing himself for now as he's got 3 teammates up and ahead again. They are looking for what could be another victory at Daytona, back-to-back seasons, and they would sweep the year if so. 2 laps remaining. It's double file now. Ryan Potter's going at it with Alan Cudman. DJ Stagner's gotten himself back to the back end of the leading pack. He's going for himself now. Curtis Granger, Matt Muir, Dylan Poteet, all together as well. They're on the outside, but they have little help. For the last time, we mentioned strength in numbers because now the outside needs that strength. Because it's not just where you find your strength and the quantity of the guys around you, it's the quality of that trust and the relationship these guys have on track. Swamp last year made mistakes. They still got away with the win, but they could have done much better in organizing. With 1 lap to go, Dylan Poteet's got the push. He'll take it to the white. Can he take it to the checkered? Poteet, with his new team, gets all of the push he needs out of that one. He's got Hula Monkey Motorsports side by side with the swamp, trying to overthrow the dynasty. Matt Muir pushing at over 200 miles an hour at the peak of their powers, going side by side. Now Miller goes up top. Poteet wrecks. Lodato slammed. DJ Stagner in the thick of it. Huge contact. And everyone goes around at the front of the field, DJ Stagner. And as they come through, it's side by side. Stagner, Bourne. It's going to be Tom down low, DJ up top, and DJ Stagner gets it. Last season, his team got the win. He saw the wrecker. This time around, the field implodes, and by 23 thousandths of a second, Stagner beats the rookie. The legacy continues, and the most successful team in Highline Superspeedway history just won another. Amazing race for rookie Tom Bourne, and Jim Fott gets away with 3rd place. Lodato will start the season in 5th, while DJ Stagner, he just found a way. Stagner gets to celebrate again, and he's got the team to back it up. The Swamp ended up having to take the sacrificial route, but this time around it was just a chain reaction. Hula Monkey Motorsports sent their best, and with all the swapping and crossing over, nobody comes out in one piece. Except for this one, Stagner was playing the back end, and that was the perfect call. Nothing sweeter than a win at the World Center of Racing, and for Stagner in particular, this is racing redemption. How about that? And if DJ is going to go and chase after another title, there's no better way to start it as he'll win tonight over Tom Bourne by 23 one-thousandths of a second. Next from there, you'll have Jim Fott, who comes away third. Fourth is Dalton Beer, and Lucas Lodato comes away fifth. Alan Kunman goes 6th place with 7th in Ty Smith, 8th in Caleb Morrissey, 9th goes Josh Christman as Corey Blevins wraps up the top 10. 11th place is Joey Chapman with Justin Baxter 12th, Jimmy McKee 13th, and 14th in Scott Zellner. Curtis Granger 15th, Dawson Buchanan 16th, Dylan Wedgwood 17th, and Seb Miller P18. I mean, what a big scatter after that wreck, as some of your front-running guys were far out of it by the end. You'll have Matt Murin 19th and Scott Wheeler 20th. As from 20th on down, you'll have Matthew Rodriguez, Nicholas Blackerby, Tyler Hampton, Adam Bozzi, and Dylan Poteet to 25th. It's Chad Winstead, Colton Gardner, Ryan Potter, Sean Billman, and Jackson Hartman for the top 30. Your final drivers, Kenny Brooks, Toby Wedgwood, Roberto Ramirez, Terry Brooks, and Jacob Halm with a technical malfunction. Everyone else stayed on track. At the end of the night, we had 28 on the lead lap. How about that for DJ Stagner, though? Victory for the 64 team at Daytona is far from an unknown, but after last season, we weren't aware whether or not he could find that way there. DJ, of course, and the Swamp Motorsports guys have dealt with every end of victory lane at Daytona, whether they've all been out of it or whether they've all seen it. DJ, in particular, might just be the most successful of all, sweeping the season 16 sweepstakes across both series, and of course leading his team to the eventual Lodato victory last season. This time around, rather than being part of the early wreckage and seeing your teammate win, it looks like the team ended up falling out of favor, and the cards fell into your hands, DJ. Back in Daytona victory lane, and the Swamp sweeps the year at the World Center of Racing.
Yeah, I totally am at a loss for words. Like, there was nothing in the back half of that race that went right for me. This was the single most undeserved win I've ever had in my entire life. I think Sebi drove a phenomenal race, and I feel terrible for him. I think he got crashed. I haven't had time to go back and look at it. I think it was lap 20 or so. I was kind of dominating the top line and just riding, and I made just a bonehead bozo move and crashed Tom Bourne. Completely accidental. I don't think either of us had any damage. I don't think we hit anything, but it caused a stack up in the back of the field and ruined a bunch of guys' races. So I apologize to all of them about that, because it was 100% my fault. Like, I just totally misjudged it and crashed him. So, but yeah, I really am speechless. I really am. Like, this was a silver platter victory. Like, everything in the last 20 seconds that I needed to happen happened. Like, when I had a big run up the backstretch, I was pretty much committed. I was going to push Sebi, and thought we were probably going to finish 1-2. Then they all crashed, and here we are.
And you mentioned you and Tom Bourne were involved early, ended up still coming away 1-2. From there on out, of course, it was that big recovery race. So how did you get yourself settled out from as low as 28th to get back in the leading fight?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just patience, really. There's two ways to drive plate races, in my opinion. You can either be hyper aggressive or very calm and patient. And start of the race, I was pretty aggressive, and then that shifted after I crashed him. Just became a patience race. Make sure we could make it on fuel, and there's always a path here. That's the beautiful thing about Daytona, is it's never over until it's over. And lined up second on that restart with 10 to go or whatever, and we dropped all three swamp cars. I think it was Lucas, myself, and Ryan. We just dropped like a rock, like out of the top 15. So I really was like, well, now what? But I mean, it's never over till it's over here. Always got to be looking forward.
The swamp stays, no matter how it happens, so consistent at these plate tracks. And tonight we saw multiple other teams gain their time in the sun, leading those laps. Do you think there was any more challenge tonight compared to previous seasons?
I think tonight collectively was the best effort anybody's put forward, because I don't think we ran a great race, honestly. I think it just worked out. But like we were down and out several times. Like, we just didn't have the strategy go our way. I mean, it just wasn't our night. But like, it just worked, right? It's just one of those things where if you really believe it's going to happen, then it just somehow it finds a way, right? So, it's still crazy that it happened like that. But it's been. I think the next time we race here will be over 3 calendar years since we have lost the season opener at Daytona. I think it was February 2023, the last time we lost one. I think Allen won that, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, it's really an incredible streak, and I'm really proud of everybody. So, I mean, it'll never happen again for us once it gets broken, I don't think, but just being able to be here in the middle of it's pretty cool.
And that history keeps getting written. Of course, it's our 20th season as a league. There's history in itself there, and this streak is somehow alive and well again. DJ Stagner starting the season with the win. Anything else you'd like to add after that one?
I just want to thank all my Swamp teammates, because with the driver championship, all of us having to be in chat together, we're used to racing in a group of like 8, 9 or so. We'll have in extra little pieces here and there, and it'll just, strategy wise, it all works out. But the new team rules, only having 5 of us at a time in chat, I mean, it changed things, and we weren't necessarily ready for all of that. Like, we didn't really know what we were getting into, but I mean, it still worked, because we were actually a tighter 5 group. If you notice, all throughout the race, we were almost near each other. So, I mean, it worked out, and I'm happy for all of them, thankful for all of them. It was a good race for us.
DJ Stagner breaks through at the line and avoids the wreckage to come through with another season-opening victory. From 2023 on, the Swamp stays elite at Daytona. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Stagner's on the move, and it's a tale of opposite races, but also opposite stories for the man who was also collected in the very first caution. And it looks like, even though it was a very bad thing to begin with, being in that first wreck was a good omen for both Stagner and Tom Bourne, who end up finishing 1-2. Tom, this is your very first race in the Highline Racing League. First and foremost, welcome. You set the bar very high for yourself, and I'm sure now there's a lot of guys who have you on notice as one to watch second on debut.
Yeah, it was overall a great run. Very fast car all night. Just happy to be here, stuff like that, and glad I could put on a show, especially after the unfortunate accident between me and DJ. to bring out the first caution.
Now, of course, it began with you guys battling for the race lead. Now, can you talk us through your perspective of that? Because it looks like both didn't have too much damage, but very risky, especially as you were very, very close to the inside retainer.
Yeah, so I went up to uh, basically go back to the high side because the high side was the place to be, especially leading. And I guess DJ went to jump out of line. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about it. He apologized and whatnot, and no hard feelings between me and him regarding it. But I guess he went to jump out of line, and then he thought better of it and tried to jump back in line behind me. And at that point, he was to my left rear. Thankfully, DJ kept it going straight, and I was able to completely lock it down. And I was probably a foot or two away from the inside wall. And I'm like, okay, I'll put 4 tires on it and get back out there.
Getting that rubber and getting back on the way. I mean, a low of 30th if you take a look at the numbers. Not only that, but you started 21st. You had your fair share of experience from the back of the field, and you looked unfazed making it up. Was there anything for you anyway that helped you in just making your way up and progressing?
Just trying to gauge the runs the best I could, trying to figure out throughout the race who was causing the most checkups and stuff like that as the lines kind of fluctuated. Um, and just basically going where they weren't. I mean, I was talking to Jim just before you pulled me up here, and I told him coming to that white flag, I was 15th or around 15th, and I was just I went in the team chat. I'm like, I'm just gonna go where they're not and hope for the best. And thankfully, I hoped for the best, and the best worked out.
And avoiding the wreck was the big difference right there. You mentioned it. From outside the top 10 to just away from a first career victory here, Tom. We got a lot of weeks left of racing. We got 13 consecutive from here until that point, and we continue again. You got anything else you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, just excited for the season ahead. I think starting off the season well is good momentum moving forward, and it's a lot to build off of. Want to thank uh, you for putting on a broadcast tonight and for the rest of the season. Um, I've heard good things, and I'm going to watch it back, and I'm probably going to say good things. So, um, Hula Monkey, they brought me on. Matt Rod did a great job at convincing me to come hang out and race. I haven't been able to race these cars much, and I'm glad I'm able to. Adam for letting me in. Ghost Energy, uh, Reaper Apparel Company on the car every week. Great job. Happy to have them. Always trying to put the car up front the best I can. And, my fiance Melissa, friend Kira, friend Sydney, they're always watching. Melissa's always going to be my number one supporter with no matter what I do. So I'm glad she's watching the races and everything. And everybody watching in general. There would be no reason for a broadcast if you guys weren't watching. So glad you guys tuned in, and hopefully we put on a show, and we at least the 96 team plans on putting on a show the rest of the season. So, and you can count on that.
Well, not bad for a first try, and the 96 team comes in and makes an impact very clearly. Second place on the day, leading laps and getting in the mix from beginning to end. Tom Bourne, thank you for your time.
Of course, man. Hopefully I'll be talking to you again real soon.
Tom Bourne on the way. One last to speak to. Now, look at this. The 11th row of qualifying makes up two of your top three drivers. They started together in 21st and 22nd. They will finish together in second and third. And it looks like for the 21 crew, Jim Font, podium placement tonight and less than a tenth away from victory. Unbelievable. The margins were tight, and you come away with your best finish in the Highline Racing League.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to thank my teammates. Tyler cut me a break there earlier when we were in that long green flag run. Let me get back in line. And then Corey and I, we were really starting to make some hay there on the top there before those last two cautions. And I thought we were going to both get up front, and didn't quite work out. But that definitely is what put me in position to be there at the end for sure.
Now tonight, low of 27th, started 22nd. So when you look at the numbers to begin with, you found yourself working in the bottom half of that mid-pack for a majority of the day. One thing we noticed was until the very end of the race, it wasn't too aggressive out there. We had only 3 cautions to deal with overall, so there weren't a lot of opportunities for the field to fully shuffle. How did you navigate strategy with that in mind?
Yeah, that early caution, we decided to try to save enough to just do it on one stop. So, Tyler and Corey and myself, we were all just riding around and trying to be half to 3/4 throttle as much as we could without losing the pack. And I think that's why it kind of settled everyone down. I think there was probably more people than just us thinking they could do it on one stop if we needed a green flag stop. So that helped a lot for sure.
Now tonight, of course, Daytona, it's all about communication. You have a teammate out there in Tyler Hampton, and it looks like while you outfinished him, you got an opportunity not only to work with him, but the rest of the field. So how was it choosing the right partners to make your moves with on the racetrack? Of course, we know that's such a big deal as well.
Yeah, it was, you see the same guys making the moves and going by you a lot. So, anytime the 64 is going by you, you're thinking, man, I got to get hooked up with him. Or, it a lot of times I just felt like if I got a run and I could get in somewhere, that's what I would try to do, just try to not be in the middle. So, aside from just trying to stay around my teammates, it was more of just, where is this, just taking what I could get, I guess.
Now, with that said, it looks like you took just about as much as you could and maybe a little bit more than you perhaps expected. A podium finish to start the season. 13 more races ahead of us here, and it begins with the momentum you've got today. Until then, Jim Fott, of course, we are 1 week out from our first intermediate race. Any final shout-outs you'd like to send? The floor is yours.
Yeah, just thanks to everybody who puts on the league, and I just wanted to tell you guys, the broadcast, big thanks. I've got several friends and family and coworkers that watch, and they all tell me how great it is. And several of my coworkers say they'd rather listen to you guys than the guys they have to listen to on Sunday. So thanks for that. It's a lot of fun, and appreciate it. Just keep up the good work.
Jim Fott, 3rd place in the day for Hoosier Buckeye Racing, and bringing the Derek Cope throwback scheme just 2 spots away from another victory for the Purolator Chevrolet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Fott comes away 3rd. It's his 2nd season. Tom Bourne, the rookie in his very first, comes away P2. The veteran and the leader of leaders for Swamp Motorsport, the former champ, he does it again, DJ Stagner, and he talks about the history behind this Daytona stretch, and it seems almost improbable that a team could win calendar year after calendar year at this same racetrack and do it so consistently. Last driver to get it ahead of them, well, you got to go back to season 15. Unbelievable. The battles that have gone on. It was Jimmy McKee, as a matter of fact. He went toe-to-toe that night, and he went at it with Scott Wheeler. So that's a completely different lineup at the head of the field. All these guys raced tonight, but DJ Stagner and the Swamp did their thing all over again. Checkered flag flies, race over, and the season has just begun. Welcome to history in the making. Welcome to season 20 of the Highline Racing League. We can't, of course, thank enough our friends at ASC Services and Supply for returning to the title partnership role. They were with us for seasons 15 and 16, and they did a remarkable job. We are very excited to have them back. Thank you to the admin team, including Adam Bozzi, for keeping everything in order and bringing us back at FTN as well for another season. This is our 3rd year with the Highline Racing League, and it has been a privilege to be with them every step of the way. Until then, we'll see you next week with the Highline Racing League's 2nd race, an intermediate, and it could be anywhere in the country. So, until that point, I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a fantastic night and can't wait to see you once again. Congratulations to DJ Stagner on the season opening victory. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We hope you have a fantastic night.